BVA mourns passing of beloved President Chaplain. These two tributes come accompanied by a photo that goes with each one. The first of the two photos reveals a gentleman formally dressed and sitting at a table. In front of him are two water bottles and a cup. The background is totally dark except for the partial profile of a lady seated behind him. The caption states, "With a garrison cap that lends emphasis to his Hawaii roots, Dr. Roy Kekahuna pictured at congressional witness table prior to presenting BVA's 2011 legislative priorities before a joint session of the House and Senate Committees on Veterans Affairs." The second photo shows a seated gentleman, casually dressed and with dark glasses. His is a broad smile. A lady with a faint smile is also viewed to his right and slightly behind him. The caption states, "Chaplain Neftali Sanchez with his sister, Nohemi Marquez, at BVA 71st National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin." The text of the section commences with the following. BVA National Headquarters was saddened to learn of the recent deaths of BVA stalwart national leaders, Dr. Roy Kekahuna and Neftali Sanchez. National President, 2009-11. Past National President Dr. Roy W. Kekahuna passed away on July 1st in Las Vegas. Roy served BVA in numerous regional group capacities and national offices, culminating with his election in 2009 as National President at the 64th National Convention in Portland, Oregon. Roy and his wife, Laurel, were also the impetus behind the selection and execution of the 66th National Convention in Las Vegas in 2011. Roy lived a distinguished life, filled with a long list of continuous educational and professional achievements, all while overcoming multiple combat disabilities and years of intensive rehabilitation during several paths to physical recovery, earning for him BVA's highest honor, the Melvin J. Mass Award for Professional Achievement at the same convention at which he was elected national president. Roy was a native Hawaiian, born in Honolulu. At age 18, he enlisted in the U.S. Army as a private E-1. While in the military, Roy spent most of his time with the Special Forces, Green Berets. He also had tours with the 82nd Airborne Division, the Strack Army Skydiving Team, the 101st Airborne Division, and the 173rd Airborne Brigade, compiling more than 6,000 static line and free fall jumps with those outfits. As an Army major, Roy was injured by a booby trap in June 1967 that resulted in multiple wounds, including loss of the use of his left arm and near total loss of vision. He also experienced multiple fragment wounds to the stomach, groin, chest, right arm, and face. He was medically retired in 1971 with 5 tours in Vietnam and 5 Purple Hearts after spending 4 years in physical rehabilitation and undergoing 43 surgical procedures. Using the skills and determination he learned in the Army, Roy moved forward as he blazed a trail of personal achievements, including completion of a blind rehabilitation course at the Hawaii State Rehabilitation Center, VA Blind Rehabilitation at Hines, 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and 2 doctorates. He was the Chief of Voluntary Services with the VA Southern Nevada Healthcare System. Roy also worked for the Department of Defense for 15 years and for 5 years as a sales trainer with Sun Life of Canada. As a volunteer, he spent 39 years with Veterans Helping Veterans, 6 years as a BVA district director, and a year at a BVA volunteer office. Roy first learned about BVA in 1993 when he moved from Hawaii to San Diego. VIST coordinator Bob Kozel invited him to attend a San Diego regional group meeting shortly after his move. It was there that he discovered that he was not the only blinded veteran seeking assistance from VA. He was also a life member of 6 additional veteran service organizations. Longtime BVA members remember Roy's willingness to do anything that demonstrated his independence. One especially memorable event for many occurred during the Las Vegas convention, which he chaired in 2011. Roy hopped in a van for a quick trip to the nearby Stratosphere Hotel with a group of 11 other convention attendees, all of them younger than he at the time. The group was prepped and attired in the Stratosphere's custom jumpsuits. Shortly thereafter, they received a safety lesson and then rode on an elevator the equivalent of 108 stories upward. Roy and the other jumpers were then connected to a high-speed descender and led to the edge of the platform, where they took the final step prior toward plummeting 855 feet to the ground in approximately 15 seconds. National Chaplain, 1979-2011. Korean War, veteran and former BVA national chaplain of 32 consecutive years, 1979-2011. The Reverend Neftali Sanchez passed away on September 6 from causes incident to age at his home in Grand Terrace, California. He was most recently a member of the Southern California Regional Group and, astonishingly, a BVA member for 68 years. Tali, as many knew him, attended 31 conventions as chaplain, missing only one in 1997, Reno, and delivering Father Carroll Memorial Luncheon addresses twice, in 1979 and again in 2001. It seems unthinkable to contemplate that I served as national chaplain 8 years longer than Father Carroll did, he said during a telephone interview just prior to the BVA 66th National Convention in 2011, Las Vegas. It's been a long run that I've loved, but it's finally time to give the privilege to another worthy blinded veteran. Due to health concerns, Tali could attend only one more convention following his service as national chaplain. In 2016, he traveled to Milwaukee for the 71st National Convention, where he also attended his very first convention back in 1956. A 2002 national newspaper release introduced Tali's story as follows. One blinded veteran has taught many Americans how possible it is to overcome great adversity if one does not abandon hope for a bright future and full life. A good example is Corporal Neftali Sanchez, whose life changed abruptly on July 11, 1953, in Korea, when he was only 19 years old. The article recounted Tali's wounding by an exploding grenade while he was on patrol, an event that caused the loss of both his eyes and both his arms below the elbows. Coping with so many obvious adversities, Tali was nevertheless relentless in the pursuit of his personal goals, the feature added. After completing blind rehabilitation at Hines in 1955, he graduated from Pepperdine University in 1959 and received a master's degree 2 years later. He attended Bible college and received a bachelor's degree in theology in 1974. Tali found out about BVA in 1955 and joined immediately. He served on the National Board of Directors from 1964-69 and was later elected national chaplain in 1979. He told both the board and the membership the following year that he would not run for chaplain again, and, because of the politics involved in elections and voting, he voiced his opinion that a national chaplain should be appointed annually rather than elected. The association's leadership listened to him and agreed with his reasoning. The rest is history, as he was reappointed 31 times. Judging by his many years of involvement and service, of much greater importance for Tali than a position were opportunities for him to serve, particularly to render assistance and support to those who may be climbing the same mountain that he had already successfully climbed. The explanation for Tali's service may well be rooted in a November 13, 1953 news article in the El Paso Post reporting his injuries in Korea. The article quoted Tali's mother, who had just visited him for the first time since his return to the States. The place of that meeting was a hospital in San Antonio, Texas. If Neftali was discouraged, he never showed it, she said. He seemed happy and full of plans for the future. The Tali Sanchez described by his mother in 1953 is the same remarkably courageous, positive-thinking BVA member and national chaplain BVA knew and loved for all but 10 years of its 78-year history,